Welcome back to Unbound Faith.
Glad to be here.
We're continuing our journey through Genesis, and today we're diving into chapter 13.
This one is, well, it's packed with stuff to unpack.
It really is. We see Abram returning to a familiar place, but this time things are different.
Right. He's not just a man with a promise anymore. He's wealthy now, like really wealthy.
And he's got his family and all these possessions with him, so it's a different kind of homecoming.
It makes you think about how our circumstances impact our faith. Like, would we handle prosperity as well as Abram seems to?
It's a good question, especially when you see the conflict that arises between him and Lot.
Yeah, even with God's promise, they hit a very real, very human problem. The land can't support both their flocks.
It's interesting how the text highlights this tension. It shows us that even those who follow God face everyday challenges.
And look at how Abram addresses it. You'd think he'd pull the elder card, the God's promise card.
Right. He could easily say, "This is my blessing. Lot, figure it out."
Exactly. But he doesn't. He lets Lot choose.
Talk about generosity. I mean, it makes you pause and think, what would I do in that situation?
It speaks volumes about Abram's character, doesn't it? He's not defined by possessions or power. His faith seems to run much deeper than that.
It's like he trusts that God's got his back no matter what.
Exactly. Now let's talk about Lot for a minute. He chooses the Jordan Plain, described as this lush paradise.
Almost like the Garden of Eden, right?
Right. But then there's this mention of Sodom.
Yeah, that kind of throws a wrench in the whole paradise image, doesn't it?
It does. It's like the text is giving us a warning. Sometimes what looks appealing on the surface has hidden dangers.
It really makes you think about the choices we make. Are we drawn to the immediate, or are we considering the long-term consequences?
It's a question we all have to grapple with.
Now, with Lot gone, we see God reaffirming his covenant with Abram. This time, it's not just about land.
Now, God is promising descendants, and not just a few, but as numerous as the dust of the earth.
Imagine receiving that promise when you're childless. It takes a tremendous amount of faith to even begin to grasp it.
It speaks to the nature of God's covenant. It's not dependent on our circumstances. It's about trust.
And look at Abram. He doesn't question it. He packs up and moves to Hebron, near the Oaks of Mamre.
Isn't that interesting? It's like this location has significance, even back then, a place where the divine has been encountered before.
And what does Abram do there? He builds another altar. It's becoming a bit of a pattern with him.
He's not just claiming land. He's marking his territory with acts of faith. It's a powerful visual, don't you think?
It is. And it's a reminder for us. Faith isn't just about words. It's about action. It's about orienting our lives around God.
So as we leave Abram at his new altar, what's something that stands out to you from this chapter?
For me, it's the reminder that faith is tested, not just through hardship, but also through blessings. How do we handle abundance? Do we cling to it, or do we allow it to draw us closer to God?
This is something to reflect on for sure. And, as always, from all of us at Unbound Faith, may you go forth with hearts open to God's blessings and guidance.